LC the beat guy.
Lord, hear the cry of your people. As we cry out for change, as we cry out for transformation, Lord, we come to you because you are the true and living God. You are the God who called the night from the day. Lord, you separated the heaven from the earth. You have done and continue to do miraculous things. Lord, we put our trust in you. We know with your power and with your strength, there is nothing that we cannot do. So as we rise up from the ashes and we lead our people out of this desert land, we pray, oh God, that you would be with us. Be with us in the hills. And be with us in the valleys. Be with us as you were with Moses. And be with us as you were with Joshua. Cause your hedge of protection to reside around us, no matter where we might go. And scatter our enemies in 10,000 directions. Reverse every curse. Break every spell. And dismantle every stronghold and plan of the enemy. God, cut off the plans of the wicked so that your will and your way in this season might be manifested. Lord, we go in and we claim the land of Tobago for the kingdom of heaven. We claim this land back for you, O God. We give you all the praise. We give you all the honor so that you might be able to rise up in us kingdom leaders and ambassadors in the earth. God, give us the heart and the mind to be able to hear and be given instructions from you. Open the eyes of our understanding. Open the heart of every listener. Unite us. Allow us to understand time and seasons and see what you are doing in this season, oh God, where you are calling us out of the desert. You are calling us out from under our oppressors and into the promised land. You have promised this, and we are living in a time of divine revelation of everything that you have said in your word. God, we give you glory, we give you honor and praise for the ability to stand proxy on behalf of this island of Tobago, to dedicate this island back to you, oh God. that we might be able to snatch ourselves out of the hands of the wicked, out of the enemy, O God, and become all that you have called us to be. Cover us under your blood. Unite us, shelter us, shape us, and pour into us all that we need to succeed and gain the victory in this battle. Lord, fight for us. Fight against all who fight against us, and give us the victory. In the name of Jesus. Amen.
I solemnly pledge to dedicate my life to the service of my God and my country. I will honor my parents, my teachers, my leaders and my elders, and those in authority. I will be clean and honest in all my thoughts, my words and my deeds. I will strive in everything I do to work together with my fellow men of every creed and race for the greater happiness of all and the honor and the glory of my country.
Tobago, wake up, let's transform this island. Together we are stronger, it's our time to shine. For too long we've been silent, can you hear our freedom? We deserve much better, we must first believe. Let's do this for Tobago. Stand boldly for this island. Our future must be brighter. Vote the PDP. Tobago, wake up. Let's transform this island.
It is an awesome privilege to hold this flame both by day and night. It's an awesome privilege to have my head filled with thoughts of reshaping this beautiful island and making it even more beautiful. It is an awesome privilege to challenge you this evening to transform Tobago and to turn Tobago into a greater island than it is right now. The turning of every tide, the changing of every season reminds us that there is beauty in transformation. And so you ought not to fear transformation, but to embrace it. You and me, the PDP and the Tobago, we can transform Tobago to the space we finally desire. So let's transform Tobago together. Let's build out a better Tobago together so that we can get the governance we deserve, so that we can get representation that we can all trust. Transform Tobago.
We must first believe. Let's do this for Tobago. Stand boldly for this island. Our future must be brighter. Vote the PDP.
He epitomizes the fires of Belmana. He speaks the language of freedom. He has and will continue to represent with passion.
Tobago, this is Watson Solomon Duke, the founder, political leader of the PDP, but I'm just a regular candidate in this THA elections. I wish to take your mind back to the period before the dawn of the PDP. Tobago was in opposition. All of Tobago, for those who had the mic, spoke, and they spoke nothing for 4 years. Those can be seen as the darkest years of Tobago. With so much power, they did nothing with it. The period between 2013 and January 2017 can be seen as the dark ages for Tobago. Then, out of darkness came the light of the PDP in January 2017. You saw the changes that we have brought to Tobago. We swam, a boat came. We walk, buses return on the eastern and northeastern side of Tobago. We spoke, central bank came. We did it all for you. Today, the PDP, Watson Duke, we are saying we cannot remove light and expect darkness not to continue. We must ensure the light shines and shines to the perfect day. As the representative for Belgarden East, Roxborough, Dallaford, I dare to challenge my constituency, my electorate, to return Tobago and return Roxborough to its position in Tobago, which is the second town. As a second town, Roxborough should have a port, a cargo port. As a second town, Roxborough should have a university. We should have things that create employment that is sustainable. We must be able to boost the population of Belgarden East, Roxborough, Dallaford by creating more housing for the natural population and those who wish to live in a town. By doing that, there will be more groceries, there will be more gas stations, there will be more farming, there will be more everything. I thank you and I ask you for your support in this 2021 elections.
Calm, certain, committed, the living embodiment of the substance of things hoped for. A better Tobago is her dream.
A great American leader once said that the government you elect is the government that you deserve. Let me repeat, the government that you elect is the government that you deserve. A statement that rings true for this island of Tobago for the last 20 years. Tobago, Goodwood, Belgarden West, please think carefully about what you have gotten and ask yourself, is that what you deserve? Although we have very big plans for the island of Tobago that include improving the healthcare system, including Tobago's history in our educational curriculum, and completely redesigning the city of Scarborough, I would like to take this opportunity to highlight some of the projects that we hope to achieve in my electoral district of Goodwood, Belgarden West. I'll be selfish and start at home. I was born and raised in the bountiful village of Belgarden, a space where youth development has been and continues to be at the forefront. My mother still speaks about her experiences in the Rising Star 4-H Club and the associated development opportunities like traveling to Moscow, Germany, Cuba, England, and Guyana in the 1980s. Our plan is to rehabilitate that old youth build structure in Bay Road to create a center for youth development. This would include making a home for the Belgarden Police Youth Club and the creation of a homework center. When we drive, the village of Richmond seems so small, so it is often forgotten. Our plan is to put Richmond back on the map. There are visions of a coastal marine and terrestrial park. Of course, a PDP THA would ensure that all of our projects are environmentally safe and sound. Glamorgan is an amazing village, one that we need to expand by providing lands and starter homes on the estates on the inner parts of the village. Using this model would allow young professionals from the east to have dignified housing in and around the village that raised them. In fact, the PDP's aim is to expand all of our country villages using this model. Pembroke must continue to be our culture capital of this island. In fact, I proudly stand on Congo Hill an area where our African descendants settled. Our aim is to transform the Pembroke Heritage Park into a year-round cultural stage, similar to Disney World or Legoland in Dubai. Imagine being able to visit Pembroke and see a Laja Bless or a Dwen the same way we go to see Minnie or Mickey Mouse. Goldsboro will provide the food that feeds this island. Let me repeat, Goldsboro will provide the food that feeds this island. To do this, we must provide basic infrastructure and know-how on both traditional farming and farming using new technologies like aquaculture, greenhousing, and hydroponics. We will also ensure coordination of the farmers into clusters so that we can predict the volume of produce we get. And finally, we will restructure the marketing division to be responsible for taking the goods from farmers and finding local and regional markets. Farmers should not have to worry about selling their goods after they have worked so hard producing them. The development of the infrastructure on the Goodwood playing field is a given. But greater than that is the establishment of various community sporting clubs that will be responsible for partnering with the THA to ensure that high-level sporting activities are available in every village. The fishermen all over the district have been crying out, and particularly those in Granby have been telling us about their need for proper fishing facilities and proper slipways and other docking facilities in both Barbados Bay and Granby. Every other village also needs support for our fishermen. The development of a comprehensive waste management system is a step in the direction of closing the landfill and eventually creating a mini golf course in Studley Park. I know that my opponents laughed at this in 2017, but I would encourage all of Tobago to Google the Trinity Forest Golf Course in Texas or the Renaissance Park Golf Course in North Carolina. Tobago, you must ask yourself whether you deserve the best or whether you should just settle for what you've gotten all these years. A gentleman met me the other day. He was encouraging me to continue writing the article that he reads weekly. He said, and I am paraphrasing, that if we learn something new every day, if we teach someone something every day, and if we smile every day, the world would be a much better place. I am asking you, Goodwood, Bellegarde West. I am asking you, Tobago, to join my colleagues and I in the PDP to make Tobago a better place. Let us spend this COVID-19 period learning about the new skills and technologies that would be needed to be competitive in a post-COVID-19 world. Let us teach our children and grandchildren about our history and strength and the resilience that we've had, therefore encouraging them to not settle for mediocrity. And let us smile every day, knowing that the choices we make now and the choice that we make on January 25th, 2021 has the potential to completely shift the trajectory of this island and put it on a path to true development. Tobago, I know that you deserve better governance. I know that you deserve representation that you can trust. I know that together we can transform this island of Tobago. I know that we can make this world a better place. And as our THA lead and future Chief Secretary Farley always says, I know that we can make this small island the best small island that the world has ever seen. Tobago, Goodwood, Bellegarde West, I ask you to vote for me, Dr. Faith B. Israel, the candidate for Goodwood, Bellegarde West, so that we can work together to transform Tobago.
Service, energy, activism. This woman is a reflection of community and devotion.
Ladies and gentlemen, I am Megan Morrison. Yes, Jean Morrison and David Friday Pickney, a proud product of Mount St. George. I will be your area representative in the upcoming THA election for Bacalet Mount St. George. After years of service in my community, I have taken up the responsibility to go a step further by joining forces with the PDP under the leadership of Farley Chavez Augustine to produce the kind of transformation that is needed in Bacolet, Mount St. George and the wider Tobago as a whole. Standing before you after serving selflessly in the area of community development, youth development, tourism and culture, it is clear that even the blind could see that what has been passing over the years for representation is nothing but disrespect, disappointment, failure and utter neglect from this current administration to the people of my community, Bacolet, Mount St. George. I, Megan Morrison, with your support and the resources of the willing and competent PDP team under sound leadership, will take the transformation of Tobago's future into our hands to another level. Ladies and gentlemen, it is possible. Better is possible. Transformation is possible. And better has come. There is a saying, when God can come, he does send a man. In this case, he's sending a woman, a lioness, a fighter, a warrior to fight tirelessly for the type of transformation that the people of Bacolet, Mount St. George deserves. Many of you tend not to vote, but hear me out. On January 25th, Megan Morrison is your only option. When you cry, I cry. I will continue to echo the cries of the youth, the cries of the elderly, the cries of the unemployed. It is time for the people of Tobago to be released from enslavement. We have been shackled for way too long. We are often told a little is better than nothing, but a little is not enough. I come to you from the hills of Mount St. George to tell you the people of Tobago are no longer going to settle for just a little bit, while those in power and their loyalists benefit from a lot. The time has come where the people of Bacolet, Mount St. George are crying out, no more, no more, no more empty promises, no more magical disappearing acts after election, no more victimization for wanting more for your community. We, the people of Bacolet, Mount St. George, say no more. I, Megan Morrison, your area representative, say no more. It is time for transformation. On January 25th, you must do your part to join in transforming by voting for a candidate whose main agenda and always will be to put people over politics. Vote for Megan Morrison, vote for the PDP, vote for vision, competency and fair representation that Bacolet, Mount St. George deserves and need. We the people have had enough and are prepared to send those currently there on administrative leave. The charges are, we the people have had enough of you doing very little and even so behaving as though you have done us a favor. We have had enough of you breaking every ethical rule as you ensure that a few are well taken care of while the majority of people suffers. We have had enough of the hate, the spite, the wickedness, the bad spending of Tobago's people money, the corruption and the silence that goes along with it. We have simply had enough. We have had enough of the arrogance of this current administration as their bosses sit in Trinidad and tell Tobago what is good for Tobago. We feel things could and must be done differently. Let us all tell them on election day, proceed on leave with immediate effect. I plan to restore love and community spirit in Bacolet, Mount St. George, to prioritize safety and comfort of you, the people. You will transform this constituency to be one where we can truly say all our we is one family and mean it. We will transform Bacalet Mount St. George through infrastructural development, such as fixing that bridge at Brothersfield once and for all. Road construction and reconstruction, adequate draining, erecting public walkway and public convenience, constructing proper access to lands under cultivation in this area, constructing a community facility in Bagatelle area. You have been asking for it, we will deliver. Eliminate flooding in Frenchfield, investing in Hope Beach coastline and construction of the Hope Bridge that has been sorely needed over the years. We will make sports one of our prime focus for this area with the refurbishment and expansion of the pavilion at the Riverbank Oval. Mount St. George will be a prime hub for entrepreneurship within the constituency. The PDP is saying to you, we cannot transform and develop Tobago into a global competitor without you. We cannot enhance Tobago's tourism product without you. We cannot properly package our cultural product without you. On January 25th, Tobago's transformation depends on your vote. So vote for the Progressive Democratic Patriot to see a new Tobago. Enough is enough. Their reign is over. It is time to support a leader like Farley Augustine, a visionary with a renewed focus and the right eye for the direction of Tobago's transformation. Ladies and gentlemen, vote for the PDP. Regardless of your color, you have a choice to advance Tobago. You have the choice to think and choose freely. Finally, make the choice to have a say in the future of Tobago. It is possible, my brothers and sisters, because you deserve representation you can trust. Vote for Megan Morrison on January 25th, 2021. Vote for Megan Morrison for the area of Bacalet Mount St. George. Vote PDP, vote the Bamboo Bullifay.
This man is a fountain of perseverance and focused forethought who would help transform our island's development.
Good evening, fellow Tobagonians. Special good evening to my Scarborough Calder Hall brethren. In just a few short weeks, we once again have the opportunity to select representatives to affect and improve the quality of our lives in our 12 electoral districts. It is without doubt, however, that those who seek your vote must demonstrate a comprehensive understanding of the issues that affect our lives and our livelihood. They must be Tobago-centric, must be possessed of the spirit and mindset of APT James, A.N.R. Robinson, and Winston Murray, and must be willing and able to change the status quo by changing the way governance is delivered. This, my friends, is perhaps the single most important qualification there is. It is only when the existing status quo of greed, corruption, mismanagement, spite, vindictiveness, and subservience to Port of Spain is changed that you and I will have a real chance of individual success. We must ensure that no one ever has the ability to insult and sideline those you elect and hung them out of office simply because he has a different view from that espoused by Port of Spain. I have answered your call to represent the District of Scarborough Calder Hall. I understand the issues that pertain to you, and most importantly, after much consultation, have already begun to lay out the solutions that we in the PDP believe would meet the needs of every individual who live in our district. The PDP team believes that there are three major questions you should ask before casting your vote in this election.
The first question you must ask is, does the representative party have competent officials to manage your affairs in a manner that is fair and transparent? As you ponder this question, consider that after 20 years, the people of Cradley, Church Street, Hart Lane must still walk their garbage to the North Side Road, causing a stink every day. Imagine they can't even come up with a decent contract for garbage collection and disposal. Consider also that in 2021, you must still go to the home of a representative to beg for keys so that you can access public facilities in the district. My friends, this is 1940 politics. This is unforgivable representation. I will bring many years of proven public sector managerial experience to the House and put an end to ineffective representation. The second question you must ask yourself is whether the individual or party has presented a vision for Tobago that harnesses the full authority of the THA Act. I have presented a progressive vision for Scarborough Calder Hall, and our party has detailed the mandate for the holistic development of our beloved Tobago. The third question you must ask is, which group will continue to push for our lifelong dream of constitutional reform, autonomy, and self-determination? It is a just cause that is rooted in our desire for an equitable side-by-side arrangement. And you have seen their handiwork after 20 whole years. Consider that the current THA is still working on the gains made by previous NARA administrations 25 years ago. Consider also that after 20 years, 15 of which a PNM parliamentary government, we have only excuses to swallow. Moreover, would our opponents define Tobago and Trinidad by international standards and also expand the responsibilities of the THA, or even bring Tobago to the levels of development we see in Trinidad? I think not. My brothers and sisters, I want you to always remember that change only comes on the back of positive and decisive action. A vote for the incumbent maintains the status quo that has resulted in the stagnation of Tobago. Do you know that the PNM government made a law to prevent direct foreign investment in Tobago when all the other islands in the region, including Trinidad, has been built on direct foreign investment? Yes, all the money they collect from the proceeds of oil and gas are because of direct foreign investment. Brethren, as we contemplate which representatives to support, do not allow fear to control you. Do not allow fear to prevent you from doing what is right. This fear, it silences us into accepting rampant corruption, inept and incompetent leadership, and most hurtfully, uncaring representation. Under their stewardship, organized public sector corruption perpetuated through the procurement mafia is now the norm in Tobago. Together, we must fix and root this out to create a more equitable society. This was never our lifestyle and upbringing. How far have they taken us away from our moorings? You should cry shame on them. So don't be fooled again by their 3 months of election and fast ferry gimmickry. Their current rush to pave roads and hand out food cards and hampers. Don't let their disrespectful, taking us for granted behavior bear any fruit this time around. For it is only whatever you allow is that which will continue. We in Tobago are better than this. I beg of you, wherever you live and vote, let us as proud Tobagonians unshackle those chains of fear. Let us overcome the despondency that keeps us away from the polls. Let us summon up that fighting spirit of our ancestors, and let all of us go to the polls on election day and vote for Tobago again. Make no mistake,
Representatives on the other side accept dominance of Port of Spain, uncaring of the fact that they were elected to serve Tobago's interests, to give voice to Tobago's concerns, so that Tobago can develop in keeping with what we want. As party groups have found out, a vote for them is a vote to be dominated by and victimized by Alwari, Young, Khan, Imbert, D.L. Singh, Cummins, Mannings, and Dinorega, to name a few. They don't and cannot represent you. The PDP intends to be a democratic forum, a vehicle for your voice, so that together we can take steps to acquire the changes we want. As part of a democratic PDP, I, Trevor James, offer myself as your voice in the Assembly, the voice of the people of Sergeant Kane, Government House Road, Cinnamon Hill, Warner Close, Rockley Vale, Glen Road, Old Road, Cradley, Kokowati, Calder Hall, and Scarborough. Together, we will develop and shape a new Scarborough into the governance center of Tobago. Together, we will transform it into our city, into a place we can take pride in, where together we will improve employment opportunities for every individual in the district to create better jobs for residents based on our planned improvements in Scarborough. We will roll out our Smart Tobago, Show Me a Road Tobago program, where we will engage community labor and upgrade all local roads, river crossings, house and property access in our district. As a start, together we will install solar lights on the entire French Fort Road as a special project to facilitate our workers and health enthusiasts, and construct the French Fort, Belmont, Cradley Link roads to open up large acreages of agricultural lands. Team Tobago, the time for change is now. Let PDP represent your concerns and reward you with people-centered governance. I am Trevor James, and I ask you, the electors of Scarborough Calder Hall, for your vote so that we can develop this partnership. 12 for Tobago, Tobago for all. Vote PDP.
He is unwavering in his stance to bend the trees while they are still young.
My fellow Tobagonians, I'm Wayne Wasprack, Progressive Democratic Patriots candidate for the electoral district of Lambo-Signan Hill, which includes the villages of Lambo, Signan Hill, Patience Hill, Spring Garden, parts of Spring Garden Trace, and Union. I come before you a humble servant of the people. I was born and raised in the beautiful village of Lambo, and I am what anyone would call a man from yard. I've watched my village grow and change over the years, in some instances for the better and in others for the worse. From an early age, I have been involved in the sporting fraternity as both a player and a coach. I look around me and recognize that the young people lack good role models, and as such I have strived to give back as much as I could to the communities that raised me. I stand here a proud product of this district, and it is my intention to serve you in the capacity of area representative. I have worked as a volunteer football coach for the Signan Hill men's team, as well as school teams such as Mason Hall Secondary, Pentecostal Light and Life High School. I have coached the preschoolers of the Dorothy Moses Preschool in Lambo and the Bright Gems and Little Hatch Preschool, which are both situated in Signan Hill, among others. It was during this stint that I conceptualized and executed the first ever Tobago Early Childhood Games. This event was a resounding success. We hosted that event for 2 years. I firmly believe that the future of our island lies in the hands of our youths. My passion is in ensuring that the young people of this island are given the best opportunities to realize their fullest potential. I am currently standing on the Patience Hill Recreation Ground. This location is of special significance as it is one of those grounds that has experienced neglect over the years. This is unfortunate because Patience Hill is a village rich in its sporting and cultural heritage. Several issues have presented themselves in this location, and it is my aim to address these immediately as I assume office. There is need for the erection of a retaining wall that will solve the drainage issues in the immediate vicinity. This would also allow for proper sizing of the playing field to allow for official matches to be played once the COVID restrictions are fully lifted. This will certainly allow for persons in the community, especially youths, to engage in more structured sporting activities in a safe and secure environment. The William Mackenzie Park, named after the first area representative for this district when it was formerly Buku Lambu. I very much intend to follow in his footsteps as your next assemblyman. This park can become a beehive of activity for the village of Lambo and environs. It is my intention to have exercise equipment installed as we recognize the importance of health and fitness to the proper functioning of the people in any society. The park is also situated in one of the most picturesque stretches of highway on the island. And so we will be seeking to construct a rotunda which will allow for the hosting of functions such as weddings, etc. Tourism is the mainstay of our island's economy, and it is envisioned that this project will create much needed economic activity in the district. We have a number of talented service providers from the community who will benefit from having access to a beautiful venue to host different types of functions. The micro-wedding sector has potential for tremendous growth in light of the effect of COVID-19 pandemic. We aim to take advantage of this to provide sustainable employment for members of this community. The entrance to the Scarborough Regional Hospital through Spring Garden was intended to act as an emergency access to this critical facility. However, it was never completed. We intend to make this access road operational and rebuild a bridge in that area to provide proper and safe access to motorists and other users traversing that area. The preservation of our historical sites is of paramount importance to this administration, and the Spring Garden Moravian School stands as a tourism site of historical significance. In conjunction with the church group, we will complete refurbishment of this site as part of our tourism and cultural trust. So it will form part of Tobago's offering to visitors to our shores. Union continues to be plagued by bad roads, unfinished drainage and other infrastructural issues. There is a blind corner in Spring Garden Trace that poses a serious threat to motorists. In general, the district can benefit from extensive road rehabilitation exercise. Roads in need of urgent repair will be given first priority to bring much needed relief to motorists. The focus in Signan Hill will be erection of a retaining wall on the Signan Hill ground to make the facility safer for users. The road access to this facility will also need to be rehabilitated as part of this project. Emphasis will be placed on expanding the micro mall facility to accommodate a larger cadre of aspiring entrepreneurs from the community. The facility will also serve as a driver of economic activity in the district. The Lambo fishing facility and the Petitru Beach are two places that can become centers of economic activity. Fishermen has expressed dissatisfaction with the state of the facility, and we intend to address the issue as a matter of priority. The fishermen are very important to us. We will look after their comfort while they ply their trade. Potential exists for the establishment of a fish processing facility that will be export ready as we look to extend the capabilities of fishermen to generate income that would create further downstream activity. The Petitru Beach will also be the focus of attention, and the intention is to construct public conveniences as well as a beach house where visitors can relax in comfort and style, while presenting opportunities for persons to sell food, beverages and craft items. Support would also be given to expanding the parasailing and kite surfing activities as part of our tourism offerings. In order for all these ideas to come to fruition, any administration has to work hand in hand with our citizens. Productivity, therefore, is of paramount importance if we are to be able to compete locally, regionally, and internationally. Politicians can have the best ideas, but critical to the success of anything we propose is getting buy-in from those who will benefit in the short, medium, and long term. My representation will be characterized by honesty, integrity, forthrightness, and most of all, productivity. I intend to lead by example and would like all of you to join me on this journey. I can say that I have demonstrated these qualities in the past, and you can count on me to remain that man from yard who wants to see his community and island grow and prosper. Our future looks bright and green once we choose the PDP. I thank you.
Shaped by compassion, selflessness, and inclusivity, he will serve all people.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is indeed a privilege to stand before you, offering myself to serve you, to be your voice, and to represent all residents and my neighbors in Canaan, one accord, in the upcoming Tobago House of Assembly elections. I could not sit on the bench or watch from the sideline any longer. I needed to get in the game because Tobagonians are being advantaged. I am Joel Marcus Sampson, a multifaceted young man who was born, nurtured, and socialized in the village of Bonaccord. I attended the Bonaccord Primary School, the Scarborough Secondary, and the Signal Hill Senior Comprehensive School. After acquiring my O-levels, I went on to acquire a craftsman certificate in pipeline and a certificate in supervisory management at the School of Practical Accounting and Management. Currently employed in the Operations Department of Wassa Tobago as a craftsman too. I view this job as an opportunity to enhance your quality of living by improving the water supply for residents throughout the island. This natural inclination to serve led me to assume the position of President at the National Union of Government and Federated Workers at my workplace for the last 9 years. During this time, I also represented the union at the Caribbean Public Service Conference in 2016. I am an avid football player and has been a member of several football teams throughout the country. Now my focus is on coaching the next generation of footballers on the island so as to harness their skills and enhance their potential. Thus far, I have had the opportunity to coach the Ball Blasters Football Club and the Tobago Women Under-15 football team. I am well respected in the community and very eager to foster meaningful change in this electoral district of Canaan, Bonaccord, and Crown Point. A budding entrepreneur, a father, a tradesman. You know what? I wear many hats, and I believe passion is a prerequisite to performance, and I use this notion as a guiding principle for everything I do. Over the years, I have prided myself on being a cheerful giver and rendering assistance to my fellow men. However, I am cognizant of the fact that population-wide change could only be created through a larger platform. I am eager to build a strong community through constant communication and consultation with all residents and stakeholders. I believe that it is only through a unified mission that significant development to the community could be made that extends beyond aesthetics. Communication and consultation are critical tenets of service, and as such, I have spent the last months listening to those who are deemed the ordinary men and women within the community I intend to serve. Listening to their concerns about infrastructural challenges around the electoral district, education, and sport, the lack of youth empowerment, to name a few. I have listened to their fears concerning the transition of the residents who have to leave their ancestral homes to facilitate the airport extension amidst a seeming lack of genuine care from the reigning powers that be. I listen to the general delusionment many folks have with politicians who promise the moon and stars to acquire their votes into office, then after the dust is settled completely, betray their trust with inactivity and ineptitude. I have recognized that all people truly want is leadership and representation they can trust. And this is the reality that forms the impetus for me to truly demonstrate my commitment to serve with integrity, honesty, and concern for all constituents I intend to serve. I have no desire to become too comfortable with power that I lose sight of the real goal: service, service, service. As such, I especially want to focus on the socio-economic development of residents by creating more employment opportunities, both academically and utilizing skills-based training. Reigniting of the community spirit that was once synonymous with the area, using sport and community activities as the main drivers. The creation of sustainable avenues for youth development and entrepreneurship, encouraging sustainable agricultural activities geared toward better food security, and reintroducing adult literacy programs within the community. While being fully cognizant of the challenges that are inherent with delivery, here are some of the plans we hope to accomplish when elected. Addressing the unfinished negotiations of the residents of the Crumstain area with regard to the airport expansion. We must treat our citizens better. A PDP THA would ensure that our citizens are adequately compensated and comfortably relocated. Address issues of flooding and poor drainage across the electoral district. I know we're tired of the flooding in Front Milford Court. Address issues of water shortages and inefficiency. Re-establishing the trade school with a view to promote a more self-sufficient and independent youth. Refurbishing and reopening of the Pigeon Point jetty to facilitate full access to the reef and tour operators. Providing the requisite assistance to the fishermen via an adequate facility and marketing arrangements for their products. Establishment of programs to facilitate the disabled and seniors. I am a leader you can trust. A vote for me is a vote for honesty. A vote for me is a vote for integrity. A vote for Joel Sampson is a vote for fair play and equitable representation for all residents of Canaan, Bonaccord, and Crown Point. A vote for PDP is a vote for transparency, accountability, and real representation. So join me, join the PDP team. Let's vote, let's transform Tobago. On January the 25th, vote PDP.
Her legacy is love, and her vision is the empowerment of a people who understand and embrace true self-sustainability.
It was Martin Luther King who said, everybody can be great because anybody can serve. You don't have to have a college degree to serve. You don't have to make your subject and verb agree to serve. You only need a heart full of grace, a soul generated by love. That's why love is such an important part in my campaign. It is a fundamental principle of our human existence. It is truly impossible to live without love, as it feeds your soul, your very essence, and authenticity that translates into purpose, hope, inclusion, patriotism, and self-worth. Without it, division, despair, helplessness, selfishness, demotivation, all of which weakens the will and contributes to social decay. There is nothing more dangerous than to build a society with a large segment of the people in that society who feel that they have no stake in it, who feel they have nothing to lose. People who have stake in their society protect that society, but when they don't, they unconsciously destroy it. The Tobago House of Assembly, an arm of the people, historically hinged on the liberation of the Tobagonian, a Tobago-centric movement. Patriots such as James Biggart, APT James, Dr. Winston Murray, A.N.R. Robinson, Miss Pamela Nicholson, and many others who have contributed significantly. Yet, the cultural relevance is simply whitewashed as politics. Such injustice to the youth, such an assault on our nation. An office built on integrity, equality, and justice, reduced to a surrogate of a colonial system that has conditioned inferiority, that translates representation into winnability, PR stunts, handouts, and hate. All in an effort to distract us with propaganda, camouflaging the real issues, silencing the intuition, and creating an assembly line of consumers. Our inheritance is simply a game of Monopoly, and us pawns in a game of chess. The exclusion, division, nepotism that permeates is quickly destroying the psyche of the Tobagonian, putting us in a state of comatose, alive but only existing, deflated, disenfranchised, because your world around you does not reflect who you truly are. That's why, as your representative, it is important to use a holistic approach, grounding on our strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats, ensuring that you are at the heart of the conversation, solutions, and actioning. Representation that values your perspective and partnership, that is concretized in the belief that you are our greatest resource. To develop a culture of excellence, relevance, confidence, and patriotism that will trigger leaders in our communities. Communities that will stimulate, nurture, and honor our history. Communities that are taught their past, value the present, and instrumental in shaping their future. Communities that will breathe independence, tolerance, and opportunities for the differently able, the youth, and elderly, ensuring their voices are accounted for. Representation that will action sustainable employment, food security, generational wealth, building a legacy, setting a stage for our future. Let's just take a moment to stop and breathe, as every breath allows us to focus, to visualize how blessed we are, to recognize that we are surrounded by abundance and beauty, that we are equipped. In the midst of difficulty lies opportunity. Opportunities to feed ourselves from our rich arable lands, new markets from our untapped green and blue economies, such a diverse ecology, our human expertise, both local and abroad, an opportunity for us to explore, heal, and fall in love with ourselves and our home. A love that is selfless, impartial, patient, sacrificial, and kind. A love that saves, for God is love. The being Tobagonian is the tourism product, where our identity reflects who we are. Buku Mount Pleasant is positioned to lead in developing an environmentally sustainable community, which caters to a creative class of people and stimulates innovation, creativity, and continuity. An incubation for skills and training for the future. We can look forward to creating sustainable employment by developing specialized community-run community farms, using a NGO model to tap into international funding throughout the district. We have already taken the initiative to clear our trails. From Buku Beach to No Man's Land, it offers accessibility to mangroves, being such a valuable asset, not only for the environment, but also for us. The introduction of recycle and waste disposal, enhancement of the Buku Beach into a therapeutic, eco-friendly wellness beachfront to promote naturopathic healing, a mangrove and reef restoration program, partnership with the civil society as well as NGOs, community homework centers and adult literacy programs to give support to families and students, stimulating volunteerism. Education becomes accessible and continuous, creating child-friendly spaces that will stimulate the youth so that children can be children again. Community and area facelifts that it will improve our curb appeal. Imagine this. This is just the tip of the iceberg. We haven't even begun speaking about our Buku Goat Race Festival. So much for us to speak about. I hope you are excited as much as I am, because I am looking forward to us working together in creating the change that we all so desperately need and desire. I want to leave with you that there is hope, that we can and we will get through this together. Know that you are powerful. Know that you are capable. Know that this is the time. Now is the time. We must act. This is a golden opportunity for you, the people, to regain your voices, to regain your power. This is the opportunity to transform a vote into change, an opportunity for freedom. This election, voting for the Bamboo Bullifay, is a vote for you and your children's future. I am your candidate for the PDP, Ms. Jamie Beard, your new area representative come the 25th of January, where Buku, Mount Pleasant, Canaan, Lowlands, Canby is loved.
If size really mattered, the elephant would be the king of the jungle. Although small in stature, he is mighty in heart, determination, and soul.
Greetings all. I am Pastor Terence Baines, your PDP candidate for the constituency of Bethel, Mount Irving. Driven by the theme People Before Politics, I am pledging with God's help to deliver satisfactory representation to all of my constituents and by extension to contribute to premium governance in this exceptional space and place we call Tobago. As I traverse this district, the most acid lamentation of the people is that there has been a disturbing deficiency in representation. After colorful solicitation of the vote and palace-like promises to improve the lives of all our people, aspirations to see the fulfillment of these promises have been dashed to pieces. In my walks over the hills and through the valleys, I am encountering angry and disappointed residents, distrusting of all officials and the systems provided to aid them in development. Additionally, there is an alarming amount of young people that have no zeal, no interest, no desire to engage the governance reality of this land. Ladies and gentlemen, though it is a tall order, part of my mandate is to rebuild public trust in these systems and the individuals that man them. Hence, I have expanded my God-ordained purpose on the earth to serve people by offering myself as a PDP candidate in the upcoming elections. And with your support, I shall aspire to restore dignity to the business of representation and governance as a whole. This problem must be fixed now. Therefore, our collective mandate must be driven by the community mandate. What this means is that the concerns and needs of the constituency must be addressed as priority. The people before politics mantra must be realized. To this end, one of my flagship proposals for the constituency is the rehabilitation of the Montgomery grounds. By improving the lighting for more night activities, addressing the perennial flooding that occurs in and around the pavilion area, installing a dedicated walking strip around the entire field for the purpose of those who want to jog and walk and exercise in general, and introduce a constituency football league, netball league, and basketball league in the first year and a half. There will be a paradigm shift. There must be a paradigm shift. Hence, the onus is on us now to take the bull by its horns and to create the kind of constituency we desire. Redesign the kind of Tobago we dream of and to become the people that we were destined to become. We can do it together. We must do it together. So as we move towards the dawning of this new Tobago, all and sundry must be furnished with the PDP's message of change. There must be a change in governance, a change in representation. So come January 25th, there will be, and there must be a massive change movement from every home, every block, every valley, every hill, every hamlet of this constituency, converging on polling stations to vote for Terence Baines in Bethel, Mount Irving, which includes Susseland, St. Luke, Riseland, Sherwood Park, Buckoneu Road, Blackrock, and Mount Hay. In every constituency, PDP candidates must be elected. Then we shall begin this tough but doable task of rebuilding this blessed space we call Tobago, that all and sundry can enjoy, be proud of, and jealously protect. It is now Tobago's time to shine. Vote Terrence Baines. Vote PDP. I thank you.
This fearless, focused fighter is precise and passionate, and her loyalty to this island's transformation is unmoving.
Today I stand before you in the very spot I stood almost 30 years ago, looking on at an event that would change the face of my village forever. You see, this now deteriorated jetty barely standing behind me was once the pride and joy of this community. It was a symbol of progression for a district which depended heavily on fishing and tourism as its economic drivers. I can vividly remember the vibrations of the piles being driven into the ocean floor and the many disturbances the construction brought with it to my primary school, which was only a few meters away. I recall teachers such as my beloved Aunt Benoit using this event as an early introduction to the laws of physics and economics. The 9-year-old me, filled with both curiosity and awe, would be sure to give my parents a daily account of the progress the jetty was making, while absorbing the aspirations of the village emanating from this steel and concrete structure that would now connect land with water. I am Zorisha Amina Hackett, and I am the first of 4 children, born to Clyde and Stephanie Ford Hackett, in a humble abode in Bethesda Trace, Plymouth. My family circle also includes 2 older siblings. I am the granddaughter of Bernard Romeo, who was known throughout the village as King Bolt, and Idris Joseph, both the parents of my mother. My father's parents are Ivan Hackett, also known as Solo, and Ika Guy Wellington. I attended the Sunbeam Kindergarten, affectionately known as Pastor Mac, where I graduated with the Most Outstanding Student Award before moving on to Plymouth Anglican Primary School. Under the watchful eye of my loving principal, the late Mrs. Phyllis Armstrong, I excelled academically and represented Plymouth Anglican in every single competition relevant to my age group. My many achievements, from top primary school reader to most outstanding brownie in the nation, to leading the winning team 3 years in a row in the annual Primary Schools Credit Union quiz, amongst many other successes, brought much positive attention to my small primary school and my village by extension. I was also a leading member of my school's choir, which received many accolades, both far and wide, for immense talent. I was skipped from standard 2 to 4 and placed in an accelerated class by Miss Armstrong, whose sole mission was to ensure that her gifted students put Plymouth on the map. Her dreams became a reality when in early 1991, Plymouth Anglican received the opportunity to visit the Red House and have tea with then Speaker of the House of Representatives, Mr. Nizam Mohammed, pay a courtesy call to then President Mr. Noor Hassan Ali, and then to spend the afternoon in the company of then Prime Minister A.N.R. Robinson at the Prime Minister's residence. The field trip was highly publicized, as many were astonished that this small primary school from Tobago had gained the attention of the nation's seats of power. And I found myself starring in 2 of the daily newspapers, sipping tea with the Speaker and holding the former Prime Minister's hand as we strolled through his garden in the aftermath of the attempted coup. After spending 2 years in Standard 5, because I was too young to attempt the Common Entrance examination, I moved on to my first choice, Bishop's High, an accomplishment that sent the entire village of Plymouth into celebration mode. Not only was I the only student from my small class of about 20 students to be going off to Mount Mary, I was also the first student in over 6 years to make the transition from Plymouth Anglican to Bishop's High School, motivating my sister and others to follow in my footsteps a year later. My little trip down memory lane of my formative years here in Plymouth reaffirms my duty to give back to the district that birthed me, nurtured me, educated me, and molded me into the woman I am today. My close interaction and involvement, however, have exposed the neglected district, a district where promises are many but fulfillment in short supply, a district bountifully blessed with aesthetic beauty, cultural and historical wealth, and sporting and academic prowess, yet plagued by many deficiencies. As your future area representative, it is my earnest desire to transform the communities of Plymouth, Bethesda, Lekoto, and Golden Lane to the state of prominence so acutely desired. This transformation will not happen overnight, but with your collective support and cooperation and our harnessed passion and determination, we can empower one another towards the metamorphosis of this district. The transformation of this district will be achieved via the following avenues. We'll start with fishing. We will upgrade the fishing facilities at Plymouth and Culloden, inclusive of the construction of a boatyard to facilitate boat building, servicing, and repair. Additionally, we will establish an aquaculture farm for the cultivation of both freshwater and saltwater populations under controlled conditions. Moving on to agriculture. We will identify and distribute state lands in an effort to empower residents to engage in modern and sustainable agricultural practices to promote both food security and sovereignty. Agricultural planning and specialization is critical in this process. Residents can also look forward to the provision of skills, knowledge, and technologies for plant propagation and cultivation with the aim of improving plant growth, yields, quality, nutritional value, and resistance to diseases, pests, and environmental stresses. There will also be the establishment of an agro-processing cottage to efficiently move produce from the farmer to the end user. Let's now place our focus on sport and recreation. Residents can look forward to the upgrade and consistent maintenance of the Plymouth and Table P sporting facilities, as well as playgrounds and parks throughout the district. Additionally, the PDP plans to finally provide a long overdue recreation space for the residents of Golden Lane. We'll move on to tourism now. Residents can look forward to the upgrade and consistent maintenance of the various historical sites throughout the district, with special focus on marketing in an effort to monetize these tourist attractions. We will also establish a Plymouth Golden Lane Culture and Arts Fraternity to ensure that the oral traditions, music, dance, and arts and craft are passed on to upcoming generations. We will also encourage a revival of Golden Lane's courtship codes, which would be added to Lekoto's folklore and superstitions, and Plymouth's all-time carnival, events to be displayed throughout the year as a part of the district's tourism product. And now to housing. The construction of a minimum of 10 homes per year in every village, as per the PDP's Home for All initiative, is on the agenda, with labor and material to be sourced from within the district. We will also enact the PDP's No Unfinished Homes Drive, beginning with homes which commenced construction over 7 years ago. State lands at a lowered cost per square foot will also be provided to young professionals to encourage private home construction for the working class. And now to healthcare. There is a planned conversion of one of the health centers in this district to a health and wellness center with a focus on screening, nutrition, exercise, and physiotherapy, while the other will focus on rehabilitative, restorative, and palliative care in our push towards health tourism. Let's now touch on infrastructure. It is our aim to facilitate approvals for the construction of a marina at the Plymouth waterfront to facilitate docking and servicing of yachts and boats. Residents can also expect consistent maintenance of roads and drains throughout the district, as well as the identification of areas for the construction of access roads. The construction of urgently required retaining walls, especially in the Golden Lane area, is also a priority. We also plan to construct a protective services post to house the police and fire services in this district, with first responder training to be provided to residents. The Plymouth Micro Mall will also be completed under the PDP's tenure, with a focus on facilitating youth entrepreneurship. And last but certainly not least, let's look at education and opportunities for youth advancement. An adult literacy program will be established throughout the district, and to meet this need, we will seek to establish homework and research centers, which will be staffed by returning graduates, retired teachers, and other community leaders. You can also look forward to the establishment of a youth mentorship program for at-risk students, which would work hand in hand with student support services. Through careful consideration with the interest of the youth, your future area representative plans to institute an auto mechanic and body shop academy, a boat construction and repair academy, and a sporting academy in this district. Residents and islanders, by extension, can also look forward to the establishment of a scholarship program for top performers moving on to secondary and tertiary level within the district. These are but some of the developmental goals for the district. But for these plans to become a reality, we must recognize that this district requires a servant leader. A servant leader who is truly reflective of the people she will represent. A servant leader whose roots are deeply embedded in the villages she will ultimately be responsible for. A servant leader who will make the necessary sacrifices to engender much needed development in this community, which is now a far cry from its truest potential. And so I stand before you in a paradoxical state of both humility and pride to have been a product of this very district, a daughter of this soil I stand on, a Bethesda girl whose navel string was buried deep beneath a sapodilla tree that continues to bear the sweetest fruit, a descendant of the Hacketts, Fords, Romeos, Josephs, Guys, and the many other bloodlines that run through my veins. Plymouth, Bethesda, Lekoto, Golden Lane, Tobago, I rise. I rise to offer myself in service to you. I rise to be a part of Tobago's transformation. A transformation which will begin at the polls on January 25th. I therefore urge you to come out in your numbers to place your X next to the bamboo bully fee. Vote Sarisha Hackett. Vote PDP.
Burning deep within this dynamic and capable candidate is the urgent desire to see her island realize its fullest potential. She is ready.
I am Abby Taylor. Today I am extremely humbled to be representing my constituency of Blackrock Rim Spring Garden under the PDP. Ladies and gentlemen, I stand before you, my people, with immense pride and gratitude as a product of this constituency, born and raised in Marysill. For me, representation of this community goes beyond politics. This journey is an emotionally charged, personal and spiritual one, filled with conviction, love and care. This journey is driven by a purpose and a passion to see the true potential of Blackrock Rim Spring Garden manifested. I am zealous about us as Tobagonians taking hold of our true identity. I will devote all that it takes to transform this area with your help and the partnership of the PDP, a team of the willing and competent. Allow me this opportunity to share with you what I know about the Tobagonian. The Tobagonian that I know and love. He is me and I am he. The Tobagonian who knows who they are and what does it stand for. The Tobagonian who knows their goals and what is their premise. The Tobago man and woman whose mind is etched in the values of our Tobago consciousness. A strong and firm identity birthed out of our rich and fulfilling heritage. For far too long we have sat around and accepted less.
less than we deserve as a people, forgetting that the authority and the key to transformation belongs to us. Where are we now? Where is the Tobago and that level of consciousness and pride that APT James worked tirelessly for? We put them in office and we have the power to take them out. And on January 25th, we will take them out. We know who we are as a people. We know our worth and we know what we deserve. Yes, we deserve better. In this year, 2021, we must arise and make the changes that our island continues to cry out for, day after day and year after year. You see, ours is not a principle of convenience. 20 years of broken promises, neglect and mediocrity handed to us and sold as representation with the representatives who we never see until election. No real improvements in our area to show for their time in office. Fellow Tobagonians, I ask you today, are we as a people satisfied with what we have become? Was our consciousness so easily thwarted that we have now become dependent and manipulated into believing we are worth less than what we know and what we deserve? Have we become so comfortable with mediocrity and the notion that the peak of success is having a government work? The time for change has come. The time for transformation is here. We are yet to see the advancements that they boast of. What we have seen is repeatedly failed systems that has not empowered us as Tobagonians. We have seen a poor management and lack of accountability for public funds. What we have seen is little to no infrastructural development in this constituency in the last 20 years. Yet, when election comes, they try to buy our votes with roadworks and last-minute projects. Brothers and sisters of Blackrock Wim Spring Garden, it is a sin and a shame that the problems we face of poor roads, lack of infrastructure, and stifling of community-based businesses are not new. We have been facing these same issues for years, yet we have to cry out for what is rightfully ours. We have seen them take our resources of the people and continue to give it to a selected few over and over, while our families perish, while we are given the bare minimum. My fellow Tobagonians, it is time to free ourselves. Change should not be feared. Transformation should not be feared. Receiving your true inheritance would be welcome and embraced. I am Abby Taylor, your area representative in the upcoming THA election. I would fight on behalf of you and your family. We are fed up of their empty promises. We, the people, demand Tobago's transformation. What are the people crying for? And what the PDP is offering is sound leadership and representation. We are offering sustainable development through a partnership with you, the members of the community, and all relevant stakeholders. We are prepared to include you in all aspects of Tobago's transformation. We want to focus on increasing the export potential of Tobago in areas such as cocoa, lime oil, growing provision, and coconut. Before you start wondering if this is possible, this is nothing new to us here in Tobago. In fact, in 1945, Tobago saw exports in excess of 5,382 tons. But we allowed 20 years of poor leadership to destroy our economy. Tobago not too long saw a thriving agricultural industry and incurred revenues in the millions until we suffered the greatest betrayal of trust, pre and post flora, when we were purposefully unassisted, thus suffering an uninterrupted decline in our agricultural sector. The PDP, once given the chance, will totally transform Tobago.
The Tobago where our parents, grandparents, and great-grandparents toiled mercilessly on the plantation, tilling the soil, or Tobago soil, ensuring this soil was fertile. Just as they tilled the soil, our forefathers and patriots fought to till our minds, invoking in us a sense of pride and a level of focus still unrivaled and unmatched, creating with us Tobago-conscious individuals, only for their hard work to go towards benefiting a selected few. We say, no way. It is time to shift the hands of power. We are not satisfied with the hand that we have been dealt over the past 20 years. Are you satisfied? If your answer is a resounding no, then it is your job. Wait, it is our job to send them a message come January 25th that as a people we are fed up. The people of Blackrock, Wim Spring Garden are fed up. Tobago is fed up, and we are ready for a change. We deserve more. Our families deserve more. Tobago deserves more. Tobagonians have become comfortable and forgone the right that our forefathers fought so hard for. Tobago, come out and vote. Blackrock, Wim Spring Garden, come out and vote. All year, come out and vote. Tobago has the potential to be a thriving breadbasket. In 1957, Eric Williams confessed Tobago had suffered years of neglect. 63 years later, why do we still have the same cry? Why? Those who do not learn the lessons of history are doomed to repeat them. We must vote the PDP to manifest the transformation our forefathers envisioned for this island. A Tobago free to make its own decisions, where we are the cornerstone of our democracy and empowerment. We will continue to champion the cause of Tobago's autonomy. We cannot transform Tobago on our own. We need you to come out on January 25th and vote the PDP. We have to transform Tobago together. The fight must start with us, and it must start at the community level. The transformation must start right here where we are on the ground. The people of this community have highlighted some of the ongoing issues in the area that, as your area representative, I am prepared to work tirelessly to rectify. Glen Road requires the reopening of the community center for use by its residents, a place to call their own, a place of activity for youths and seniors to foster our camaraderie and community spirit. The formulating of community programs for arts and the artisans. We must increase the standard of living for our residents by immediately rectifying bad access roads, water woes, and drainage issues in Glen Road. Plans are underway for a green space beautification project to improve the appearance, increase property value, and improve satisfaction among our residents. WIM is plagued by unemployment and underemployment. Job creation is a major focus among the residents of this community. The sustainable ability to provide for and feed their families is a basic need. There is a great need for a play park or a recreation area for the children within that area. The completion of a sporting facility, a proper mailing system, and proper garbage disposal. Last but certainly not least, there is a dire need for healthcare facilities in this area. Sangsas Hill, they need a play park for their children. Blackrock, we need to bring back our cultural programs and use our cultural facilities. Mount Mary, we have not forgotten you. No access to social programs, water problems, and horrible roads we must rectify. We are striving for self-actualization so as to elevate ourselves to the highest point of which our human nature permits. There is a need to recognize our cultural icons and the need for them to be celebrated with the creation of a folkloric and archival institute. An institute geared towards the development and expansion of all things cultural. A home that pays tributes to persons like Miss Annette Alfred, Dr. J.D. Elder, and Dr. Eastland Mackenzie. Our cultural community must be preserved and ongoing research be encouraged. We envision a Tobago where cultural acts like Adana and Calypso Rose are celebrated. A Tobago where facilities like the Tobago Fine Arts and Music and Entertainment is established for creative development. The PDP desires a Tobago where our tourism is married with history, culture, and the people, creating a product that is truly Tobago-centric. Our tourism sector should be a conduit for entrepreneurial activities. A tourism sector where we would see the construction of a marina in East Tobago, encouraging yachties to visit and explore Tobago while enjoying our local cuisine from both new and existing restaurants within and around the area. A tourism sector that is inclusive, where the differently abled are free to access and enjoy our sites. A tourism sector that markets Tobago as the Juve capital of the world, while closely working with our carnival stakeholders in helping define our carnival product, like those produced by the creators of the Mud and Mud Festival. Tobago's transformation will dictate that our sportsmen and women be continually encouraged to strive for excellence with the establishment of a state-of-the-art sporting facilities guided by international standards, where village competitions can be played under lights with facilities to accommodate spectators rather than standing on unkept fields with little to no shelter or toilet facilities. Fellow Tobagonians, a vote for the PDP is a vote for transformation and equal opportunities for all. Your vote on January 25th will indicate whether you are for or against Tobago's development and transformation. Your actions will show your answer. I am Abby Taylor, the paradigm shift in human form, the change that you, the people of Blackrock Rim Spring Garden, have continued to cry out for. In these unpredictable times, the last thing we need is unpredictable leadership. Vote for change. Vote for a Tobago's transformation. Vote for Abby Taylor, Blackrock Rim Spring Garden. Vote for the PDP. Let's transform Tobago.
Black, bold, and brave. This candidate is characterized by a wealth of experience and knowledge. And as your future representative, he will serve with distinction.
The birthright of every Tobagonian. Very often you would hear this administration talk about leaving a legacy for your children and grandchildren. Are you feeling the results of the legacy they have embarked upon building 20 years ago when Mr. Orville London first entered into the Tobago House of Assembly with his mandate? Did the previous Chief Secretary build on that legacy? The former Chief Secretary spoke about eradicating corruption within the Tobago House of Assembly that was left there previously, which suggests to me that he was aware that most of our legacy was being squandered. As a result of his effort to eradicate corruption, he didn't last as long as the Red House fire. Those who undermine him are now presenting you with a mandate. They have deceptively crafted a slogan for you to buy into that is building Tobago together. But it seems to me that they will continue mashing up Tobago together. My fellow Tobagonians, stop giving away your birthright as Esau did in the Bible. Esau gave away his inheritance and his position to Jacob for a bowl of stew. Imagine giving away your inheritance for a bowl of stew, and that is what we as Tobagonians are doing with our birthright today. We have handed it over to a group of individuals for almost 20 years, and they have reduced us to a people of meagerness, a people without the hope of achieving anything substantial or sustainable. If we are lucky, we could get a food card or a hamper, or if we know someone, we could get a grant or a part-time job. This is the legacy that they have left for you after 20 years in governance. My fellow Tobagonians, you have been cheated out of the opportunity of a quantum leap into the future with this administration. For almost 2 decades, we have seen the smoke in the distance, and instead of finding the source and extinguishing the flames,
We as a people continue to fan the flames by voting for them every 4 years. The Orville London Bolt legacy, what we refer to as Milshave, still leaves a bitter taste in the mouth of many Tobagonians. The Tobago House of Assembly spent $320 million on the Milshave-Rahal land deal, which the Tobago House of Assembly recently lost in court and made an appeal through the Privy Council. The Shore Park Cultural Project cost was estimated to be $194 million in 2006. By 2012, it rose to $552 million. And in 2016, the cost rose to over $1 billion. The Scarborough Library project, the same place where our previous short-term chief secretary was told to shut up and sit down, is another one of their legacy for Tobagonians. The Scarborough Library was originally budgeted at $28 million in 2004, and by 2013 was completed at $300 million. The Victor E. Bruce Financial Complex in Scarborough moved from $30 million in 2002 to $120 million in 2012. The Micro Mall in Adventure was started in 2011, and we were told that it would be completed in 6 months by 2 Trinidad contractors. Now 10 years have passed and approximately $10 million have been spent, and this mall has not been completed. Recently, you received evidence of bus sheds and signage with exorbitant costs attached to them, and a building in Union Trace Rim was purchased at a cost of $2.7 million, which would have to be demolished because it isn't structurally strong. This is an island with near 60,000 people living on it. And if you put those figures together with other examples of how our opponent would have wasted our money, you could have had more medication for the hospitals, and your children could have had laptops to facilitate online learning today as we face this global pandemic caused by COVID-19. You also could have attained a better standard of living. We have to look at the opportunity cost of wasting billions of dollars, especially in cost overruns. We continue to be deceived through fear, and the flames of deception continue to grow bigger and bigger. My fellow Tobagonian, my name is Mr. Ian Anthony Pollard. I am the Progressive Democratic Patriots candidate for Providence, Maidstone, Moriah. I am your humble servant. I am asking you to send me to the Tobago House of Assembly to represent you and your views. You will have a voice in me, and I will provide effective representation. You are not sending me to steal or mismanage your money. You are not sending me to the Tobago House of Assembly to become a secretary for a division. You are sending me to the Assembly to serve you. You know me. I am YT from Content Trace Mason Hall. The electoral district of Providence, Maidstone, Moriah is uniquely positioned in that it accommodates all sectors and can be developed to encourage domestic and international tourists. Through development, the youths and constituents can and will be financially and economically empowered. If you elect me to represent this district, this is the type of community development you and your children will live to see. Equitable distribution of land and housing for you and your children. Meaningful employment for our young men and women who are unemployed and underemployed. The formation of companies to help develop the private sector and creating entrepreneurs to meet the needs of Tobagonians and by extension Trinidad. Modernization of agricultural methods, example, hydroponics and greenhouses. Assistance for pig farmers to process hams, sausages, salami and fresh meats. Establishment of a farmers cooperative, the revitalization of the Taste of Tobago brand. Improvement of garbage collection by using persons from within the community. The construction of an Adelphi estate mall and post office. Homework centers with Wi-Fi access. Construction of a gas station / quick shop, rest stop to meet the needs of the traveling public. A FIFA-regulated dimension football field inclusive of a play park for children to be used by community and schools. Restoration of King Peter's Bay Road beach facility. Development of Highland waterfalls and other nature trails. Establishment of campsites for families and organizations to enjoy outdoors. Maintenance of roads and infrastructure. Construction of a fire and ambulance substation to respond to the health needs of constituents. Promote equity by embracing all the differently abled persons with special interests. Create opportunities for senior citizens to contribute to the development of the community and act as a mentor to young men and women. As I end here, I leave you with the words of Sir Walter Scott. Oh, what a tangled web we weave when we first practice to deceive. The guard of your birthright is you and your vote. It is time you understand the power you have over your birthright. Tobagonians do not need handouts, but a hand up. This There is freedom in the horizon by voting for PDP.
Appointed for this season and walking in his purpose, this young man stands resolute in his vision to transform Tobago into the greatest little island in the world.
On New Year's Day, I greeted you at sunrise in Speyside. This evening, I greet you from sunset in beautiful Charlottesville. And I chose this location to talk to you, my fellow Tobagonians, because in many ways, what's behind me reflects the beauty and even the sanctity of this place called Tobago. This is 40 years since we have had the Tobago House of Assembly. And for the last 40 years, we have had a vision of what we wanted Tobago to look, to sound like, to feel like, what we wanted Tobago to be like. And you, as you reflect on your own lives, after a very disastrous 2020, you know that we can expect a lot better than we have been getting. Let's be frank, the last 20 years of the Tobago House of Assembly, we have not done as well as we thought we should have done. But this is an opportunity for us to transform Tobago. And that's why I'm talking to you this evening, because we have to transform Tobago. The politics I seek to preach today is not really the politics of division. It's not about them versus us, but it's a politics about how all of us as an island can transform this space. Because the truth is, we can do better. We should have been doing better. And this is an opportunity for us to actually pivot away from mediocrity and move in the direction of discipline, productivity, and of course, move in the direction of a better Tobago. So how do we begin to transform this place called Tobago? Firstly, we have to look at education. And throughout this campaign, we have been saying to you that we have to transform the way we educate our young people. And not just our young people. We have been preaching continuous learning or continuous education. So from nursery all the way to the grave, education should be available to you. We have spoken about the fact that all of our school plans should be more than just places that operate between 8 and 3 p.m. in the day. And that beyond the school hours, school must continue for our adults, for our high school dropouts, for those who did not do so well and need a second or a third or a fourth try. And so that's our policy with regards to continuous education. We also told you that we will make vocational education on par with traditional academics, because we don't believe that vocational education is for the dunce and traditional education is for the bright. We believe that all our young people come with different talents and we must nurture all of them. We also have been telling you since 2017 about a University of Tobago, and we have said to you that this university we will use satellite campuses, and with the satellite campuses that we will use, one such campus will be located right in this northeastern region of the island that will focus on environmental studies and agriculture and environmental engineering and so forth. But it's about using education to not just educate our people, but if we inject tertiary education in a meaningful way on the island, we can also diversify our tourism product. When we talk about transforming Tobago and education, we also spoke to you about fixing the curriculum and ensuring that the curriculum we offer our students are relevant to this world, but will ensure that our students are very much aware of their environment and of their history and who they are. And that requires us to fix the curriculum. Recently I saw in a social studies book that spoke about a water carnival right here in Charlottesville. But guess what? There is no such thing as a water carnival that exists in Charlottesville. Therefore, if we are to teach our children our story, our history, we have to fix the curriculum so that they will learn about themselves and can be proud about who they are. When we talk about transforming Tobago, we must also talk about transforming Tobago through the agriculture sector. We live on an island that does not even have a single functional abattoir. and that is not good. We have spoken to you about ensuring that we have labs available, that we have a semen bank for animals, especially small ruminant farmers, so that we don't have the cross breeding on our farms. We have spoken to you about the profitability of our goat and sheep market, and the fact that we, through that market, we have a competitive advantage. We have spoken to you about the need for us to provide quality veterinary services to all our farmers. And we have spoken about the marketing aspect, because we want our farmers to concentrate on farming while the THA use specialists in the field of marketing to help the farmers move their produce from the farms all the way to the end user, all the way along the supply chain. And of course, we have spoken to you about making Trinidad our first export market for agricultural produce. And for us to do that, we also have to support the agro-processors. And that's why it pains us when we look at Cove and the fact that Cove does not work. Cove is a failure. And the fact that we could have done more at Cove. Cove doesn't even have any foreign direct investment there. The number of small manufacturing plants we have at Cove is minuscule. And we thought Cove by now would have brought a measured kind of industrialization to the island of Tobago. That has not happened. And the PDP will provide that for you. When we're talking about transforming Tobago, we are also talking about fixing the private sector. Because guess what? We have a situation where the THA hates the private sector and does not treat the private sector well. The private sector need more than just a few dollars and cents in grants. The private sector needs our support. The THA should not be competing with the private sector, but rather the THA should be uplifting the private sector. Because if the private sector grows, it means that many of you who are now employed with the THA will have options for your skill set. You may decide, look, I am better off working in the private sector where I might be paid a lot more than in the public sector. But at this point, the THA must employ everyone, because at this juncture, guess what? We have a private sector that is all but dead. But we have to transform Tobago. And as we talk in transforming Tobago, we have to also talk about our land use policy on this island. And talk about the fact that the THA is the single largest landholder on the island. But while that is so, we have many young people who wish to get into farming and agriculture but have no access to lands. We have many young professionals who want to build their own homes but cannot afford lands, because the price of land on this island is extremely high, one of the highest piece of real estate anywhere in the entire country. And so what we must do is create a land policy where we rezone the island, where agricultural land are properly zoned, and areas in and around Scarborough that are now zoned as agricultural lands can be rezoned accordingly, so that people can get value for their money. We even spoke to you about the fact that if your lands are properly zoned, then you can get value for your land, and you will be able to actually use your land as collateral for businesses, to send your children to school, and for any other thing you see fit. But when your land is just plain old agricultural land, it makes it difficult for you to get real value for your land. Ask the people down in the back of the airport who are now struggling to get the government to pay them what their lands are actually worth. Ask the people in and around Smithfield who might be trying to sell there, but in that area some are still zoned as agricultural lands, unfortunately. And so what must happen is that we must create a land use policy that works for all of us. We even have started in areas like Mason Hall, where our candidate Ian Pollard, Whitey, went about getting private land owners to pool their lands into a cooperative so that young people can have access to lands for homesteads, for farming. And that's the kind of approach we must use. And even as we talk about housing, we have to understand that we have to go back to the Susu lands model, back to that cooperative model, back to the model that we use in Signal Hill and other parts of the island where we provided the land and the Tobagonians built the homes they desire. Tobagonians are proud people. We build homes that are of class, as opposed to what we see in some of the housing estates where every Monday morning there's a complaint about leaking roofs or electricals running bad after just a few short years. And the truth is, the THA in the last 8 years has not been able to build much homes. In the last 4, the THA built 0 homes. And that's an indictment. And while in 4 years' time, we built 0 homes, Trinidad on average was building about 3,000 homes per year. And so we have to transform our space by fixing land use issues on the island. And of course, we spoke to you about Scarborough. We spoke at length about the city of Scarborough and how we want to make Scarborough into a real city, because Scarborough is supposed to be the pride of the island. Scarborough is supposed to represent the best of our commerce. Scarborough is supposed to attract foreign direct investments. Scarborough is supposed to attract cruise ships. Right now, Scarborough is a shameful shanty town, and we'll fix that because we are about transforming this island. So whether it is in healthcare, whether it is in agriculture, whether it is in land use, whether it is in housing, we are saying all sectors require our attention. And in this campaign, we have not been about the politics of Bacchanal. We have not been focused so much on the Pekong as opposed to the policy issues. That's why we even had the PDP Primetime Live, where we were actually spending time elucidating on these policy areas, spending time looking at how we could fix healthcare so you don't have to wait 10 hours to see a doctor. We spent time looking at how we could monetize bush medicine and monetize things we have right at our hand. And of course, for me, coming from the countryside, what makes this such a privilege is because for the very first time in the history of a Tobago House of Assembly elections, we can have a chief secretary coming from this district. Very first time, a chief sec representing this district. We have had chief secretaries born in the east, but they always seem to migrate to become chief secretary. This time, Tobago East is saying we are voting for someone from Tobago East to become the next chief secretary. This time, Tobago West is saying we tried all the tongue men and tongue women we could try. We are trying a man from country. This time, we are saying we want a chief secretary to come out of Palatovere, Lansome, Speyside, so that this area can get the attention it needs, so that finally the road descending Charleville behind me will be fixed, and we will get more than a consultation, which is all we've gotten after 20 years. Finally, Little Tobago will get a jetty, so that our visitors won't jump on a mossy jetty all the way down in the water, damaging their feet. This time, we will have a chief sec from this area, so that Palativere jetty, that is supposed to be a new jetty, that broke down after a few years, broke down some 9 years ago actually, to this date. Finally, we will get that repaired. Finally, our fisher folk will get adequate GPS supply and support systems. Finally, we will talk about commerce in this area, so you won't have to drive past Speyside and see the old craft market just there in dilapidated state, or the fisheries in a dilapidated state. Finally, our roads will be given some attention, because for us in the PDP, it's not about tongue versus country, but it's about one Tobago. It's not about man versus woman, one Tobago. It's not about young versus old, one Tobago. And that's how we transform this space. Together we can make the economy of Tobago work. Together we can become competitive. Together we can finally get autonomy. And I cannot speak to you this evening and not talk about the autonomy issue, and not talk about the fact that Tobago needs the right to see about its own business. We must decide on the government of our choosing, not a man down in Port of Spain, but we must decide for ourselves how we must govern ourselves. and we must do so with accountability and dignity and integrity, which is not what we have had for a while. Just recently, I received in my mailbox a copy of the latest Auditor General's report, and guess what? That report is a damning report. It shows malpractice upon malpractice when it comes to our accounting. It shows that we have not been honest with governance on this island. And that's why I'm saying to you this evening, Tobago, you have to do better. You have to vote for the transformation of this island. And so as we come in the last 2 weeks, coming to knock on your doors, to interact with you, to keep meetings on your street corners, it's so that we can remind you of all of these policy issues. So we could tell you how we are going to fix public infrastructure, or how we are going to fix housing or agriculture or healthcare, to remind you that tourism, which is supposed to be our best product, our best industry, has died, and that we have to do something to uplift tourism, that we have to revitalize that, we have to create clusters in and around tourism, that we have to ensure that we have the education tourism, the health tourism through palliative care and so forth. That's why we are coming at your door. We're not coming at your door to bad talk anybody, but we are coming at your door to tell you that we can do better. You can do better and I can do better. All of us can do better. The youth man in Castar on the beach, you can do better too. To the youth man in Lansme wondering what's next, you too can do better. Collectively, we have to do better as an island. We have to put our heads together and work on transforming Tobago. We have the willpower to do it. We have what the guts it takes to do it. You need a team of people who are bold and brave. And I can tell you, there is no team on this island as bold and brave as the PDP. Because when there was no bus running from countryside, we decided to walk from country to town with police on our backs saying we should not walk. We are an embarrassment and a disturbance. When we did not have a boat and the private sector was crying out, and you could not get supplies readily from Trinidad, and you could not get to go down for medical health care or medical reasons, guess what? We did the swim protest. That is bold and brave. And I want to say to you this evening that you need for the next 4 years a team that is bold and brave enough to do what we say we need to do. You need a team. You don't need a team that is a bunch of puppets being dangled from Trinidad. You don't need a team where their controllers come from the White House. You do not need a team where the chief controller is the representative for Diego Martin as opposed to the representative for an electoral district in Tobago. You need a team that is quintessentially Tobagonian through and through. You need a team that is made up of only Tobago interest, because Tobago interest must come first. It must come above even people's own pride and ego. It must come above the desire to fill your pockets, because that is the kind of spirit we want. You need a team of patriots. And guess what? We are the Progressive Democratic Patriots. So vote for this team of patriots. Vote for us as we transform this place. You have heard from all our other candidates, and you see their intent for their districts. You have heard their passion. You have seen people just like you. You have seen young women. You have seen those in the middle age. You have seen men older than I am. You have seen a team with expertise far and wide. You have to trust this team. There is no better team than this team. We are the only team of patriots on this island and in this election. And that's what you need for this election. Forget the small talk. Forget the small talk. Talk is cheap. Forget all the bacchanal. Ask them about their policies. And if all they are going to do is try to disparage me, or to disparage Watson, or to disparage members of the team, then you need to forget them. It's about time we have a real discussion about the things that matter. It's about time we have a real discussion about your bread and butter issues. Vote for yourself this election by voting for the PDP. We will bring about the transformation you desire. And believe you me, after 4 years, you will see a Tobago that is a shining example for the rest of the Caribbean region. You will see the greatest little island on the planet. Just give us this chance. Don't be afraid. Don't panic. Don't let them scare you away. Transformation can be scary sometimes. But if you never transformed, then you will remain a baby. If you don't have transformation in the universe, then the plants, the trees, the mountains, nothing will be in place. Nothing will move. Animals will not exist. Transformation is what brought this universe into play. In fact, it took transformation to take this universe from a place of darkness to a place of light. And it took one brave leader to say, let there be light, and transform the place that was without form and void into a place that works. And so I'm going to say to you this evening, trust us after God. Keep praying for this team. Keep canvassing your neighbor. Tell those who don't plan to vote that they have to vote in this election. Put away your fear of transformation, and let's begin the transformation process come January 25th, 2021, when you will vote for the Bamboo Bullifay. Please join us in the next 2 weeks as we wrap up our campaign. Join us as we canvass from street to street. But most importantly, join us on election day between 6 a.m. and 6 p.m. where you have the option to vote for Tobago's only transformational team, the PDP, the Bamboo Bullifay. Thank you, Tobago, and we look forward to a brighter future come January the 26th, 2021. Thank you. God bless you. I love you all. Thank you for this opportunity, and thank you for listening.
We deserve much better. We must first believe. Let's do this for Tobago. Stand boldly for this island. The future must be brighter for the PDP. Let's do this for Tobago. Tobago. Let's do this for Tobago. For the PDP. Let's do this for Tobago. Tobago. Tobago.